Hi, how's it going? My name is Zachary. I'm calling to voice my opposition to a bill that was recently filed by Governor Maura Healey. And today I wanted to call about the regards to the local municipal bill that Maura Healey's trying to push through about record high local taxes, including on meals, hotels, and motor vehicles. I'm calling because I want this office to voice its opposition to that. Because after pushing through record high local taxes, after all the other taxes that we pay for, people are just not going to stand for it. And I think it's time that my representative in my area here in Essex County speaks against that because working class people like me shouldn't have to pay even more like that.
Okay. I'm just having been to your representative's attention. Just wanted to say some. Okay. Well, thank you for calling, Zachary. I appreciate you calling to bring this to our attention. I will certainly bring this to
Oh no.
Representative Walsh's attention, and appreciate you flagging this for us and calling and bringing advocacy.
Oh, thank you very much. I just was, I mean, I'm not one to really complain. I mean, I have very sharp political views and whatnot, and I'm not even like MAGA or a conservative or anything like that. But I just think it's absolutely ridiculous for because this is the same governor that said in 2022 that that we don't foresee any new taxes or we're going to cut taxes. Well, that was the same thing that she was saying last week. What she said then versus what she's doing now is the complete opposite. This is record high local taxes. You know, in this bill, and I urge your representatives to say this or in your office because this would push through the biggest local tax hikes in history, and we do not need it. And they can spin the numbers and everything. I mean, the economy is already a mess. The economy in the state is a mess, and everybody seems to know it except for her, except for this governor. This governor seems to not understand that the last thing that you want to do is push through another tax on working class people, and people just can't aren't going to stand for it, and neither am I.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you, taking the time to call us and let us know and how you feel and um, I will certainly bring this to the representative's attention.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and I'm very glad that you took my call seriously, and I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, you as well, and I'll continue spreading the word.
Thank you. All right. Have a great day.
Thank you, you as well. Bye bye.
Bye.
So that was the local representative, at least for Essex County, anyways. I called to voice my opposition because guess what's happening right now? Maura Healey right now is pushing through her municipal tax hike bill on people like all of us here in Massachusetts. Now, do you think for 1 second that people like me would be exempt? You think that I wouldn't have to pay for it? Are you kidding me? She's pushing on another tax on us. This is the biggest local tax hike bill in history. This is a bill on meals, hotels, and motor vehicles that people already have to pay. And remember, this is the same administration that also wants to tax you for everything from from the climate and the rain that falls on the roof of your house and from the miles that you drive. And after that, and after pushing through the biggest local tax hikes in history, people are just not going to stand for it. And the economy's a mess. And everybody seems to know that except for Maura Healey. Why? Because she doesn't care. Again, as I've said before, this administration, this governor sees the people of Massachusetts like myself like we're pawns, like we are pawns to play with. That's what she looks at. It's like a game of risk. Citizens here in Massachusetts, it's just like, oh, look at that. They're like, oh, it's like a pawn to play with. Ooh, the citizens here are like a pawn to play with. And then she acts like, oh, but like we're cutting taxes or anything else. That's not cutting taxes. That's an increase. When you push through a bill that allows localities to raise taxes as much as they want, which again is the biggest in history, that's not a cut. That's an increase. Just like when you increase spending by 8.8%, you have a spending budget now at $62 billion. That's a budget bigger than 38 other states. Only 12 other states raised spending the way she did. You increase spending by 8.8% when you go from a $54 billion budget to a $64 billion budget. It's not a cut. It's an increase. It's out of control spending. It's a lack of fiscal discipline and a lack of any responsibility whatsoever. And that's the reason why I contacted my local office. I don't know. I don't know how well you were able to hear it, because I know at the end of the call I had to it on speakerphone, and I had to put it up to the speaker because I'm not sure. But either way, that was me. I mean, you could at least hear my voice anyway. You could hear my voice contacting my local representative here in Essex County. And why would I do that? Why would I do that? Because I'm not going to sit back and take it. And people here in Massachusetts, we're not just going to sit back and take it. We are not just going to sit here and take it. I'm a 29-year-old working class man. I'll take Maura Healey's record of failure on any day of the week. I'll go there and protest. I'll protest right in front of the fucking Beacon Hill. I'll protest in front of Beacon Hill because because we need to be able to speak, because we need new leadership here, because this isn't working. This isn't working. This isn't working in the slightest, and everything is a mess. Yeah, everything is a mess, from the regulatory environment to the tax competitiveness. It's all gone sharply downhill. Those rankings have deteriorated markedly since Maura Healey's taken office. Our tax competitiveness is 41st out of 50 states, and our growth as a state is 49th out of 50 states. We were dead last in job growth last month, and for the past few months. Whereas Florida's job growth grew by 4.4%, we only grew by less than half of 1%. We grew by half of 1%, 0.05%. That's how much the job growth has gone. Why? Because the cost of living here that Maura Healey has made so much worse. People taking their jobs and businesses elsewhere. That's the biggest reason behind the negativeness in the economy, and the reason why we're coming up way short. It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. A state like Massachusetts that has such a big economy with a strong tech force and everything, technological advantages and a strong workforce and everything else, and a big economy that drives the entire Northeast and New England region, and yet we're coming up way short, and yet we're 49th out of 50 states in terms of growth. That doesn't happen by accident, okay? That doesn't happen by accident. And you can blame Trump and everyone else for your own faults, but everybody seems to know it except for Maura. Everybody in the state knows what the situation is right now. Yeah, the economy does suck. The economy does suck. But guess what? Why are there states around the rest of the country, including our neighbor to the north, just 30 minutes from where I live right now, New Hampshire, and I actually work about 10 minutes away from New Hampshire for that matter? Why is it that they have more fiscal discipline? Why is it that their current governor and their previous governor was able to balance New Hampshire's books like no tomorrow? Why? Because they did it with no new taxes and better management. They allow more localities more control over their tax dollars. Now, spare me with the whole, well, this tax bill is local control and everything else. No, it's not. No, it's not. Allowing municipalities in the state to raise taxes at pretty much a rate as much as they want. That's the biggest in history. To allow them to do that and to force another tax, to say that counties should be charging taxes on people, that's not local control. That's the opposite of local control. And the other thing, too, about Democrats, the same party that wants to talk about the middle class and wages and everything else and the jobs and whatnot. Well, let me tell you something. When you raise record high local taxes, when you push through the biggest local tax hikes in history, that eats at your pay. That's basically the equivalent of like eating away at the minimum wage. That's like taking away your take-home pay. That's taking away more of your take-home pay. And that's just going to make things like meals, hotel stays, and your motor vehicle more expensive. That's all it's going to do. It's an increased tax. That's what it is. Maura Healey is the one who's been squeezing the middle class in the state. She wants to blame Trump for it. Trump's responsible for a lot of shit. But when it comes to local shit here, right now, there's only one person responsible for this right now. Maura Healey, Kim Driscoll, Elizabeth Warren, Ed Markey, Michelle Wu, and others that are behind all of this. They're the ones that are responsible for this. They're the reason why we have this regulatory environment that's killing small businesses and choking them and taxing them to death. That's what caused us to lose 5,350 small businesses. We've lost 24,000 jobs. I mean, the record is there. Everybody seems to know it except for them. Everybody else who's awake, because I'm a part of an Eversource group. I'm a part of all sorts of different groups where I post about these messages every single day on Facebook. I post it all the time. I post it on my Facebook all the time. I get hundreds of likes from people all throughout the entire state. And what they're saying is they're saying the exact same thing that I'm saying. People are saying the exact same thing that they're saying. They're focused on jobs, the economy, taxes, and everything. We need a different governor. We need a governor that's different on the economy. I know that much. I know that we need someone that's totally different on the economy. We definitely need that. We don't need the biggest local tax hikes in history. What we need is we need real tax cuts. We need real tax cuts for low and middle income people. That's what we need. And we haven't got that. Maura Healey was touting about how she cut taxes. She didn't cut any taxes. She only increased like the tax credit on some things, which was like the only positive thing that she did. Well, that was in the first year. But that's before she pushed through the biggest local tax hikes in history. That's before she pushed the energy prices. That's before she blocked the 2 pipelines, resulting in higher energy bills and energy costs and everything else, which negatively impacts small jobs and small businesses. That negatively impacts what you buy and purchase in the store and the grocery store. By the way, I got to go grocery shopping tomorrow. So do you think that most people can't even afford to put groceries in their cart right now? And all this is going to do is just make it worse. But they don't seem to care, because they don't understand this, because they've never had a struggle a day in their life. That's the reality. Because this failure of an administration, and every single one of them are all rich, they pocket this money and they use it for their own advantage. They don't use it for us. Maura Healey doesn't give a fuck about you. She's a corrupt corporate insider, and she doesn't give a fuck about you. She doesn't care about you or your family, or the fact that you're paying higher property taxes, and you're paying all these other ridiculous taxes, making us into TAXACHUSETTS all over again. You know, that used to be a thing of the past, but now she's bringing it back on steroids and human growth hormones. That's the reason why. But she claims to identify all these different problems. Why didn't you fix the problems for the past 2.5 years? Well, why didn't you do it? Why didn't you eliminate it? Well, why didn't you eliminate this spending? Why didn't you eliminate these taxes? Why didn't you do that? You claim that you want to do it, then why didn't you do it? Oh, that's right, because you don't want to do it. It's all smoke and mirrors. That's all it is. It's all smoke and mirrors, and it's nothing that you claim to actually care about. It's for your donors and your constituents. That's all it is. When you have this situation here, when you have a governor that can't lead, that can't function, that just pushes tax and fee upon tax and fee, she's the one that has done this. Maura Healey is the one that has presided over more than 30 regressive local taxes. Okay? That's the reality. Did you know that more than 30 of Maura Healey's tax hikes in her past 3 bills for the past 2.5 years, going on 3 years at this point, has hurt the poorest of people the most? People with the least amount of money are negatively affected by this. That's what it is. People are the people with the least amount of money are the most negatively affected. For first, you went from like 17 tags, and now it's 30. Now it's at the 30 mark. Now it's at the 30 mark. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. 30 regressive taxes that hurt people in Massachusetts at the lowest end of the income scale. You wonder why they call us TAXACHUSETTS. Definitely right now. At least right now they do. The TAXACHUSETTS label started with Michael Dukakis, and it disappeared for a while. Then, of course, under Baker and the other Republican governors, it kind of like dissipated. And then, of course, with Deval Patrick, he was bringing the tax hikes back all over again. He was doing it, or losing jobs and businesses almost at just as much of a rate as Maura Healey. Maura Healey's just as bad as him in this regard, except I think she's even worse than him at this point. She's even worse than him at this point. And that's what we need to do. This failure of an administration needs to go. 2026, we all got to remember this on November 3rd of 2026, is that, do we want another 4 more years of the past 2.5, 3 years? No, I certainly don't. I certainly do not. And I know that you and your family doesn't either, unless you're blindly Democrat and vote blue no matter who. Well, we know those people, but I'm just not going to sit here and stand for it. I don't stand for it when there's stuff going on with the White House, and I'm not going to stand for it when it goes on in my own state. I'm not going to stand for it regardless of the situation. I'm going to stand up, speak up, contact my local representative. I'm going to call them. In fact, I'll be calling them a lot. When I see stuff like this and I feel passionate about, I will call them. I'll have them on speed dial for that matter. I'll do that. I'll have them on speed dial if I want to. I'll write a letter. I'll do all those things. I'll do all of those things. I'll do every single one of those things. Why? Because it's the important thing to do. It's the important thing to do. It's the smart thing to do. Maura Healey, Kim Driscoll, and Andrea Campbell, Elizabeth Warren, Michelle Wu, and all of them have failed this state. Embarrassed us to the face of other states. And their time has run its course. This taxing you to death and then blaming everyone else why the economy sucks is because of them. Because as great of a state that this state could be so much better if it was better fiscally managed. A state like Massachusetts that has all these universities and considered to have like these world-class hospitals and everything else that are like, good by American standards at least. And a strong economy, technological advantages, and a strong workforce and labor force and everything else. Massachusetts could be a state that leads the entire New England region and competes with other states and gets along with all the other governors. And we're not. And we're not, because we're not competitive with other states. We're not getting along with other states. We're not. We don't have an economy that's growing. We've lost 24,000 jobs. Our economy is 49th out of 50 states. Our economic growth went from 4th to 28th. Our regulatory environment is 42nd out of 50 states. The cost of doing business here is 49th out of 50 states. The growth of the state, the U-Haul growth state, the ranking is 49th out of 50 states. That's unacceptable, especially for a state like this that has so many advantages and everything and could be so much better, could be run so much better, could be a leader in the region, could be a leader in the entire country. But the only thing that this administration has done is drag us backwards and erode our once good name. We have to go in a different direction. And that's what we got to do, people. If you live here in Massachusetts or you live in any other state where the governors are doing this, I can only imagine, especially if you're in like New York or California, where they're also taxing you to death just as much, contact your representatives. Speak your mind. Make your voice heard. Always make your voice heard. And that's what I'm going to be here to do. And I'll always be here to do it. And I'll always be here to take a stand. I'll stand up against the federal government and the state government, even my locality government, any day of the week. Let's do so. And with the right leadership, we could turn Massachusetts around. Remember, we had a great economy under the previous government and under the other governments before Deval Patrick and the others. Even Mitt Romney was better than this shit, honestly. But Just remember that. And it's time that we do go in a different direction. That's why we're so concerned, and we have a competitive race for governor. And I think the numbers will say that, because we don't want another 4 years what we've had the past 2.5 years. It's time we go in a different direction. It's time we take the name TAXACHUSETTS and throw it into the abyss for good. And take this administration and kick them out the door with a steel-toe boot on election day. It's the only way we're going to do it, is to get rid of them and elect something different and go in a different direction. And for the time being, I will contact these representatives and speak my mind on this channel, posting about it in the Eversource group and elsewhere. I'll be doing it every step of the way. Every single step of the way. Because I will never shut up about any of this, and I am not going anywhere, ever. And on that note, I'm going to wrap this video up and upload this video here. So anyway, folks, I'll be back around the same time tonight, around 7:30. Today and tomorrow, I'll be streaming around the same time, around 7:45, 8 o'clock. Look out for that. Other stuff in the works. Stay tuned. I want to thank my local representative for taking the time to call. I really appreciate it. I appreciate them taking my call seriously for a change. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate what the good work that they do. And I hope that they do the right thing and stand up for this bill and say that this squeezing on the taxpayers, it needs to stop. Enough is enough. Well, hopefully they'll do that, but I'm going to continue advocating for it every step of the way. Till next time, everybody, have yourselves a good one. I'll be back tonight with my next stream. Stay safe, stay well, stay classy, keep fighting, keep on rocking. Take care of yourselves and all each other, and I'll see you, comrades, in the next one. Till next time, everybody, have yourselves a good one. Signing off for now. See you in my next stream. More videos on the way soon. Bye for now. Peace out, and have a good day. So long.